Welcome back to the channel. My name is Lisa Elvin Stoltari, and I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. Over the last year or so, I've been doing the Filles du Roi, which I call the founding mothers. I started this series, Les Filles Mariées, in January of this year. Uh, and I consider them the grandmothers of Quebec. So really and truly, much smaller number, 260 in all. And we're taking each one of them and trying to get to know them as best we can. But before we begin, let me show you ways you can support this channel. The first three keep you in the know. Please subscribe, like, and notify. All of that helps those logarithms and helps me get more exposure. The next couple of ways are ways to help the channel grow. And we have super thanks to the fact that I have now over 1,000 subscribers. They allow me to post that, and that can be found on your dashboard of your YouTube. And also Coffee, which is an external support, and also Patreon, which is another support. And I provide the links for you to go and explore ways that you can support the channel. And I want to thank those of you who have supported me for a very long time. So I appreciate that very much. So Les Filles Mariées, really it wasn't a program. It was just kind of these 260 girls or so came between 1634 and 1662. They came alone or with their, not with their families. Remember, they would come with sisters, possibly, and they would also be recruited by various churches or merchants, but they generally wasn't like the Filles du Roi, as you know, that came in, scores of women came, 90, 80, that sort of thing. So this is one by one by one by one. So you can see over a period of 28 years that 200 women or so giving birth is not going to create a country. This is why Les Filles du Roi, the program, the government stepped in to continue the expansion. But as I say all the time, these women truly were the foundation of this country, of Quebec, and ultimately of North America. And they truly came where no woman had gone before. So let's explore one of them who was truly a remarkable, remarkable woman. So we turn our attention now to episode 19, Anne Émard. She was a viewer request, and I looked in my files, and my best friend, this is her great grandma, so this one's for you as well. So let's get to know Anne a little bit better. So Anne was born 1627 in a city called Niort, France, and it was part of the Nouvelle-Aquitaine region. That's where you'll find it today. And her département, the county, is Deux-Sèvres. It currently, as I say, has about 58,000 people that live there. On this map here of Deux-Sèvres, you can actually see the little part that is Niort in that circle. So it is, like I said, it's a very important part of that particular département and of the region. Now, this picture here is, of course, of it being, today, what it looks like, and it really retains that medieval quality. The picture on your right is the Église Saint-André, which I believe is where Anne would have been baptized. It was built around the 11th century, rebuilt in the 15th, destroyed again by the late 1588, rebuilt again in the 17th century, destroyed during the Revolution, and rebuilt again in 1864. So, needless to say, its survival is an understatement. It is, Niort really grew up in the shelter of a 12th and 13th century castle that was erected by none other than Henry II of England and his son, Richard I, the Lionheart. And the two square towers of the castle keep dominate the river. Niort became one of the centers of Protestantism in Western France, of course, with that impact of Henry and Richard. And it suffered severely after the revocation of the Edict of Nantes in 1685. And so it is an important center nowadays for the insurance industry, if you can believe it, and also agriculture. And also it has specialties in not only chamois leather, but plywood, electrical, chemical, and glove factories find their way here. So a very industrious kind of town. Despite its medieval look and feel, it definitely keeps expanding and reinventing itself. So Anne and her sisters come to New France. Now her sister Barbe had married Olivier Le Tardif, and Madeleine married Zachary Cloutier, both of whom were married at La Rochelle. I mean, these are important families as well. Le Tardif and Cloutier, very, very critical. So Anne comes along as a single woman. Where, who did she hook up with? Let's find out. Well, his name, Guillaume Couture. He was born in 1616 in Rouen, Normandy. His parents were Guillaume Couture and Madeleine Mallet. Now you can see where Normandy is. He's part of the département of the Seine-Maritime that is circled there. You've seen a picture of Rouen and the river that runs through it. It's a city on the River Seine in northern France. It's the capital, actually, of the region of Normandy. And Rouen, of course, is an amazing historical story, and at one time was the largest city in medieval Europe. It played a prominent role in both English and French histories from the 11th to the 15th century. Joan of Arc was tried and burned alive in 1431 in this area. That picture on your bottom, that's where it happened. Lorraine is a city of cultural and educational significance, with the Museum of Fine Arts, the Sec des Tournelles, and the Rouen Cathedral all playing a very significant part. The University de Rouen at Normandy is a prestigious educational institution located here as well. And the Statue of Liberty sailed in June of 1685. And we believe that this is the picture of the church of at Rouen that Guillaume would have been baptized in. So Guillaume would arrive in New France as early as 1637. By 1640, he is recruited by the Jesuits to be a dunny, kind of like a priest in training almost, to convert natives to Roman Catholicism. He learned the language. He was truly ahead of his time and truly an important part of that very early part of Quebec history. There are some men in history that are kind of victims. Guillaume Couture was not a victim. He was captured by the Indians in 1642, but blessed by his own skills at survival, his ability to speak the language, his importance to the community, he was released in 1645. But he lived among them for 3 years. I can't even imagine what that was like. Now, that being said, he had started on his journey toward the priesthood. I'm certain that this experience was probably part of that decision to kind of say, you know what, I want to live a normal life. There is some evidence that he wanted to marry a native Canadian woman, but that did not happen. Instead, he came to know and fall in love with our fille mariée. Anne and Guillaume were married on November 16th, 1649 at Lauson. And this is part of the story that I have told many times because of Lauson. So let's get to know where they would make their lives. Now, the town of Lauson wouldn't be anything without Guillaume Couture. He was actually their founder. So if you are related to this gentleman, this is your heritage. And it is a town that is obviously as old as New France, really almost. It was settled back in 1636 by a man named Lauson, who was basically an absentee seigneur. His son Jean de Lauson would take it over in 1651, and he would have it for about 10 years. And then the third son, Charles de Lauson, would take it over and he would have it for about 30 years. It's during his tenure that Lauson grew and became a true place to create a home. These maps are amazing in terms of how the seigneurie was laid out. And obviously Guillaume and Anne were fundamental in settling this place. Some of the most amazing names, family names that you can look at. Bissau, Carrier, Brulotte, Allée, Bégin, Huard, Bourget. There's so many very famous, and I wouldn't say famous, but historical names that are associated with Lausanne. It was a very big part of New France's history. And by the way, I wanted to point out, this is one of those towns where they just couldn't settle on it. Cap de Lévis is one of the names. Côte de Lausanne, Saint-Joseph de la Pointe-Lévis, Saint-Joseph de Lévis, Point-Lévis, and Point Levi, which of course is when the Americans, or not the Americans, but the British came and they said, oh, it's going to be Point Levi. Not for long. But so this is the town, and this is the church that would eventually be there and be part of the community that Guillaume Couture would help establish. So this amazing family would go on to have 10 children. We have Jean-Baptiste, who married Anne Maret and had 7 children, 3 of whom made it to adulthood. Anne married Jean-Baptiste Côté and had 7 children, 4 of whom survived before her early death at 32. I don't have any information on Louis. Perhaps he never married. He is listed on that 1681 census, so that's a good thing. Marguerite would marry Jean Marcelet, but did not have any children before her early death at 34. Marie would marry Claude Bourget and have 10 children, 6 of whom would make it to adulthood. Charles would marry Marie-Anne Huard and have 6 children, all of whom would make it. Guillaume would marry 3 times. He first married Marie-Madeleine Côté and have 7 children, 5 of whom would make it to adulthood. He then married Nicole Bouffard and would have 5 more children, 4 of whom would make it. He then remarried Marianne Adam, who gave him 11 children, 9 of whom would survive. In case you're counting, that gives him 23 births and 18 descendants. Just amazing. Louise would marry Charles Couillard and have 12 children, 7 of whom would make it. Eustache would marry Marguerite Béger and have 3 children, all of whom would make it. And he then married Marie-Françoise Huard and had 8 children, all of whom would make it. Joseph Auger would marry Marie-Jeanne Huard and have 9 children, all of whom would make it. So you can begin to see the families that they married into, the Huards and the Marcelet and the Côtés. Those are all part of that history. This is the 1681 census, and you can see here that we have Guillaume Charpentier, which is Couture Charpentier, he's a carpenter. 64, his wife, Anne, who's 52, children, Jean, Louis, Charles, Guillaume, Louise, Eustache, Joseph. They have 4 guns, 7 Bataclan, which are 7 guns, and 20, which is a very respectable amount, Arpents en Valeur. So that is, wow, that's just an amazing wow moment of how many children and how many children their children gave. So let's have a look at some of the other accomplishments. So he was a man of many talents, this Guillaume Couture. He was the notary of the Lausanne Seigneury. He continued to work with the native population in the 1660s. He was sent on a diplomatic mission to New York, and he was elected captain of the militia in Lausanne. He was also appointed judge for the Lausanne district. I just can't imagine all the things this man did, in his life. Truly a remarkable, remarkable man. So to everything there is a season, this incredible couple, they would pass away. Anne would die January 17th, 1700. She was about 73 years of age. She was buried in Lausanne, of course. Guillaume would die at the hospital about a year and a bit later. It says 83. It's possible he was 85, given the information we have, but certainly he lives an incredibly long life for someone who had endured as much as he endured. Just remarkable, remarkable. When Anne passed away, they would have been married approximately 50 years. And so that is just a testament to their longevity and their their love for each other, and that they passed away fairly close tells me part of the story as well. In 1729, the descendants that were part of their, background were 220 descendants. I would love to find out who's a descendant among my subscribers, because I have a feeling there's a great many. That's what I just amazing, and you should be very proud of this heritage. We have a lasting tribute here. I mean, look at this monument in Lauson Park. It's Guillaume Couture. It tells the story. It was established, that particular, it was in honor of the 100th year of when he established, Lauson and all of that. And this was done by the family, the Lauson family. So it's just an amazing thing to witness if this is your heritage. So please visit it. And as befits such an incredible family, they have an incredible association, l'Association des Familles Couture d'Amérique, the Couture family of America. And it says, Tout a commencé ici à Point-Lévis en 1645. Everything began here at Point Lévis on 1647. So please have a look at that. I have the link for you as well in the notes. So check that out if this is your heritage. These are among the resources I use consistently to kind of verify my research and dig a little bit deeper. I encourage you to join and visit some of these. Some of these are paying websites. Some of these are free. WikiTree obviously is something that a lot of people use as well. The family associations that I have, the Canadian, the French Canadian associations, they're listed there as well. We have the French Canadian Heritage Society of Michigan. We have the American French Genealogical Society, the Quebec Family History Society, and the American Canadian Genealogical Society. These are really, it's kind of like to dig deeper. These are people who actually, and these are associations that focus extraordinarily on the ancestry that you need to look at. So that's why it's so important to find the association that works for you. And of course, look at WikiTree, Maple Stars and Stripes. What more can I say? Sandra Goodwin is an amazing idol of mine. The French Canadian genealogist is one that I just, have discovered and absolutely adore her work. Généalogie Québec is actually a paying website that I use every single day. And Quebec Genealogical E-Society is a broad-based e-society and is only online, but the resources are incredible. So please have a look at them as well. And on the top here, we have Nos Origines, which is free. And it's kind of a wiki kind of like. Check it out. You'll find lots and lots of resources there for you. And so ends our biography of Anne Émard. Maybe a little overshadowed by her husband, but we have to believe that his greatness and his ability to persevere and all of that has something to do with Anne too. I think she was the quiet one behind the throne, and was just an amazing woman because she left first, she died first, and a year later he had to go too. So I really feel strongly that even though he was such a powerhouse of a man with 220 descendants as of 1729. Certainly, they made a huge impact on that part of Quebec, Lauson, and we want to first of all honor Anne because she deserves that. She was truly the founding mother of Lauson, along with Guillaume, and I'm certain did a lot of good works for that area. So we want to bless her memory, thank her for her contribution, and most of all, are grateful that she came to our shores. And until I see you on episode number 20, au revoir.